How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I wanted to give an update to the royal family about the Laquan Mcdonald case. And as usual, there's always some fuckery. And it made absolutely no sense to me why Jason Van Dyke even appeared in court. It seemed like they had him to appear in court so he could have some type of contact with his family. I was assuming that they were going to sentence him today because I kept that date in my head. And so I said, I'll just kind of throw this all together so y'all can see what they're working on, because also what they're working on is the 3 police officers that was a part of the cover-up. So I just got 3 videos that I'm going to play the royal family in it to give a bigger picture of basically what's going on and the games that they play and the fuckery and all of that. So first we will look at this video, which is not very long. This was yesterday, and these are the police officers that was involved. So, and I like this video. It's a little over a minute, but it's to the point.
Chicago police officers in court today, 2 retired, 1 suspended without pay, but all 3 charged with trying to cover up the murder of Laquan Mcdonald. Earlier this month, suspended Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke was convicted of the 2014 murder. Today, Officer Thomas Gaffney appeared in court for pretrial motions. Gaffney was charged and suspended for allegedly signing off on reports about Mcdonald's shooting. The 17-year-old was shot 16 times by Officer Van Dyke. Also in court today, retired Officer David March, who was the lead investigator of the McDonald shooting, and retired Officer Joseph Walsh, who was Van Dyke's partner the night of the shooting. All 3 are charged with conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and official misconduct. A trial date has been set for November 26th at the Layton Criminal.
Oh, that was the end of that. So,
start your day with meteorologist.
So they will have a trial November 26th, and now the video that I'm going to play is Jason Van Dyke appeared in court today, which to me was basically some fuckery.
Tanya and Terrell Van Dyke's attorneys are asking the court to acquit him or grant him a new trial. The 2 routine motions filed ahead of the hearing this morning. Now, the former Chicago police officer, Jason Van Dyke, appeared in court wearing a yellow jail jumpsuit. Now, as an inmate, he looked very fatigued, but no video of him was recorded in court due to what we've been told was a miscommunication between the judge and the videographer. Meanwhile, Van Dyke's attorneys claim that the judge's refusal to move the trial out of Cook County was unfair and that extensive pretrial publicity cemented the narrative of guilt in the public consciousness. They also believe the jury was given inaccurate and misleading instructions before deliberations and that prosecutors misled the jury regarding the arrival of a taser the night Laquan Mcdonald was killed.
Post-trial motions are standard in every criminal case that results in a finding of guilt or a conviction. So these are expected. We'll file a written response again in the next couple of weeks, and we'll argue those in court early December.
I'm disappointed by the fact that the public wasn't able to view what we've seen today, which was Jason Van Dyke as a convicted murderer come to court today in that yellow-orange jumpsuit.
Earlier this month, Van Dyke was convicted of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery in the 2014 shooting death of the teenager in the Archer Heights neighborhood. Dash camera video showing Van Dyke firing on Mcdonald, who was carrying a small knife, while officers with a taser were less than a minute away. In the video, Laquan Mcdonald appeared to be walking away from officers. Second-degree murder carries a sentence of probation to 20 years in prison, while the aggravated battery counts each carry between 6 and 30 years. No sentencing date has been set yet, but all parties must return to court on December 4th. 14th. Meanwhile, Van Dyke's attorneys say that he was able to meet with his wife and family this morning here at the courthouse. They describe him overall as being very sad and lonely.
Who gives a damn? Who give a damn if his ass is sad and lonely? He killed our royal
Watch
son.
Judy Sue and Rob Elgas on ABC 7.
These people are so full of shit. We don't give a fuck about how he feel. You pump 16 bullets into our royal son, and then these other greasy cops covered it up, and they didn't even let some of them retire. You know, they've been doing dirt all along, and I'm glad every day in the media we hear something about these damn cops. I always like showing this diagram here. These are the bullets that were pumped in our royal son's body, and how do you justify I fear for my life? Thank goodness it was filmed, because trust and believe he would have totally walked. So anyway, my royal family, I'm going to play this next video, and I really like this particular video because they have, you know, at these news stations, they have lawyers too as well to let people know how the legal system works. And it's a bunch of fuckery and stall tactics, but I'm just doing my due diligence because I know there's so much stuff going on out here, but, you know, this is necessary to keep these stories alive. I don't want this stuff to get buried and fade off.
Jason Van Dyke returns to court this morning for the first time since a jury found him guilty in the 2014 shooting death of Laquan Mcdonald. This is a pre-sentencing hearing. Van Dyke's not going to be sentenced today, but the judge could set a sentencing date.
All right, joining us now is our legal analyst and attorney Karen Conte. Thank you so much for that. We're coming in. So what do you think is going to happen in court today?
Well, there are things called pre-trial motions, post-trial motions, and post-trial motions are basically just a wrap-up of the trial. Did the judge make any errors? Should he have moved the case to another county? Did he give instructions that were incorrect? There's one issue that's very interesting, and that is he was found not guilty of official misconduct, yet he was found guilty of murder. So will those charges and convictions be thrown out? So there are a lot of technical arguments that may be made in court today and may be ruled upon.
What about the fact that Van Dyke sat down with our Dane Placco in that interview prior to the trial? Might that be brought up today?
It might be, and because he could be sentenced for time on that as well. My guess is that the prosecutor's not going to hit him with that. I mean, it's such a minuscule amount of time that he could do, considering all the other charges and convictions.
And then when they finish all of these motions, the judge will then set a date for the sentencing hearing. What can we expect at that? Because I understand that both sides, you know, the prosecution and some of the defense people get to present a position to the judge and ask for leniency or ask for a tough sentence.
That's correct. And there's they will do some investigation into Van Dyke. They'll go into his family. They'll ask about the ramifications of what a sentence might look like. And we have three things. We have the nature of the crime. Was this a horrific crime? Yes, it was. What was his attitude at the time? Was he acting in good faith? What is his character? Has he had any priors? No, he hasn't. Will he be a threat to the community? Probably not. He's already been punished. So all of those factors, also the idea that going into jail as a police officer, very dangerous, and it costs a lot of money to protect a police officer in prison, so the judge will keep that in mind as well.
The optics to the citizenry of that guilty plea, I mean, you can't put, there's so much weight to it, but to a judge who is sentencing a man, a police officer, who's found guilty, does that weigh in at all? Does public sentiment at all come into play here, or is the judge going to stick strictly to the letter of the law?
This judge probably will not consider that. However, he can consider deterrent. What deterrent effect will a long sentence have on the police department? What message will it send? My guess is he's going to err on the side of looking at the character of this individual. Is he punished? What will punish him? What will be good for the community? But really with the focus on him as opposed to the whole public setting.
Yeah. I want to switch gears. Well, not really, but I want to talk a little bit more about these three officers who were in court yesterday. They're accused of covering up the Jason Van Dyke case. They're basically saying that Laquan Mcdonald had attacked him, and so that, you know, we know is not true based on what we know. Is his conviction going to impact their case at all, do you think?
It probably will, because the jury found that Van Dyke committed, you know, not official misconduct, but that he committed murder. So the bottom line, though, is going to be the focus on, did they lie? What did they lie about? What did they cover up? Did they get together and conspire to do that? And they're going to look at the tangible evidence and whether or not those documents that they signed were True or false?
And interesting here, we're out of time, but they opted for a bench trial, did they not?
Yes, they did, and that's probably a good decision because I think a judge is going to be a little bit less passionate about this and maybe a little bit more sympathetic to the police officers in this case, although we don't know.
All right.
All right, my royal family. I'm just going to tell you, you know, the way I feel at this point, my royal family, is I don't have a good feeling about this. And I know that they are digging in the law books to try to be lenient with all of them, even the one that has been convicted. And I don't understand why it takes so fucking long to just sentence him. Now, they stalled as long as they could where he could sit at home with his family. And it's stall tactic after stall tactic after stall tactic. And they just trying to find some wiggle room. Even, you know, how they even, the other video I was showing, they didn't want the public to see him in a prison outfit making that perk walk like Mr. Superboy always talk about. So a lot of stuff is orchestrated. And so it's just more fuckery. This is how the system gets down. And just keeping this story alive, my royal family. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.